Hey loves, it's Britt, and I'm continuing my Chiron in the natal chart series, going through the signs of Chiron. And in this video, I'm going to talk about Chiron in Libra. So, Chiron is the wounded healer energy in our chart. It shows an area that we are really wounded. It's kind of like a trigger or a pain point, but it eventually becomes our healing gifts and wisdom. So we actually end up being like a healer in the realms of that archetype, that sign, and also the house placement will show where this energy is manifesting for us, and the aspects and so on will show the relationship to the other planets. So with Chiron in Libra, the primary wound is to do with relationships. It is to do with relating with other people. If we were just in a room by ourselves, this wound, would never be triggered. This is primarily a social wound, and sometimes it can show up as actually a form of like social anxiety as well when we have Chiron in Libra. But that is really coming from this deep sense of knowing that our relationships are the most important thing that we will do in this lifetime. And we will meet with karmic people. This is, in a way, kind of like Venus Chiron aspects in the natal chart, although not exactly the same as that. But similarly to people with Venus Chiron aspects in the natal chart, we will meet with karmic people in this lifetime. And it's not often that these people actually have like many relationships. Sometimes they do, but I mean of a romantic sense. It's like there's a few majorly significant relationships that will drastically change their life in a big way. And sometimes, they could be meeting karmas from past lives, or they could be like delivering karmas to people from past lives. So there can be heartbreak. They can be the heartbreaker, and then also they can be the one who is broken. And there's themes of the heart and relationships, and also being themselves in a relationship. That can be a struggle because they often and this isn't just in romantic relationships actually, but they often can energetically jump into the body of the person that they're relating to. So mimicking, and this is happening at a very subconscious level. It's not like they're conscious of oh yeah, I'm gonna become who I'm with. But unconsciously, subconsciously, they can do this. They can kind of over-identify with other people and completely lose themselves in a relationship. And it doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship. It could be with someone they really look up to, where they just kind of morph into those qualities. And one of the biggest life lessons for people with Chiron and Libra is going to be staying true to the self, even when they're with other people, even when they're in a romantic relationship with someone who believes very differently than them. Staying in their center core, they're who they are, and owning this, and recognizing their individuality. It's okay to be different or be the outcast. These are going to be very triggering things for them, and there could be a lot of abandonment wounds, and from this, it's that morphing into someone else can happen, because it's they do know that relationships are the most important thing that they will ever do. And it's based on their unique trauma triggers or whatever, they will try to ensure that they will always have people around them. And so sometimes that can lead to self-abandonment, like I've said, where it's in their body's trauma response, they try to do anything to make sure that that person won't be mad at them. You could see in some cases these are the people excessively saying sorry, sorry that I bumped into you, sorry that I said that, or sorry that I did this, or sorry. In a way, it can be overboard, and that's one manifestation of this energy is they're very apologetic, very conscious to not step on your toes kind of thing, to an overwhelming, like, people-pleasing degree. That's one manifestation of it. Now, the thing with Chiron is, like, it tends to malfunction. So, like, we tend to become, as we're in the healing phase, like an imbalanced energy of our Chiron. So the other manifestation is like they isolate. Because, like I said, if they're in a room alone without other people, the wound is not being touched, it's not being activated in this case. So if they're trying to avoid that, like, trigger of this wound, they will isolate. And so sometimes people with Chiron and Libra will have phases where they're like, not antisocial because they don't have like those kind of tendencies, but it's like they isolate because it's not triggering them. Like, it's common for them to like retreat, and like after a breakup or like after something traumatic like in their life, or they just tend to retreat. They don't, in a sense, want to like re-trigger themselves by being around people, so they just stay alone and just do the daily things they have to do without needing to interact with people too much. Or if it's a romantic relationship, they can want to like avoid other romantic relationships until they're healed, because it's such a sensitive point for them. Relating with people is such a sensitive point if you have Chiron and Libra. And what's really interesting is, like, I believe it's the most rare placement of Chiron. I could have this wrong. I'm not the one with like technical things as much. You guys can verify this, but I'm pretty sure that the most people, because of Chiron's weird orbit, the most people are going to have Chiron in Aries because it stays there the longest. That could be wrong. And then the least amount of people have Virgo or Libra Chirons. And then one of my books said that like the reason that the fewest people have Chiron and Libra is because, like, in a sense, most people have more selfish missions. Like, there's not actually a lot of people that are here to really learn about other people in this like more unselfish way or something like that. So it's like, it's a rare thing to be such a people person like the Chiron and Libra people are. And this, we'll talk about the gifts too. This actually turns into their gifts. The best healers, the best therapists or counselors, or, working with people in any way, are going to be Chiron and Libra people, because they can identify you. They basically jump out of their own body and into yours when they're talking to you. So like they can they can understand you, they can have compassion for you, and they can be the most soothing energy for people, and they can end up truly understanding people on a deep level that many of the other Chiron signs will miss because they don't have this wound. So this wound turns into the gift. They become the relationship experts, okay? They could be the experts on like all of like the attachments, like the, like avoidant or anxious or whatever, all those things. I'm not an expert in that, by the way, but like that kind of thing, because they've had to go through relationships where they were enmeshed with someone. So these things come out, right? These, they likely have a few relationships that were especially traumatic or toxic, right? Which after a while of that, it does lead them to some form of study about relationships, whether it's through psychology or through energy work or, some type of healing work or counseling. It's like they end up having this wisdom about relationships that is very healing to all people. So a big part of their mission is to even be like the relationship coaches or like the couples therapists. Like, this is something they're really gifted at. And this is something they're really here for, is working with people in some way. They're not meant to be isolated. Although if you're young and you have Chiron and Libra, although I don't think you'd be that young, depending on the orbit of it. I think it's the one right after me. So like 1996, late 1995, you guys would have it. Until probably 1997-ish as well. So yeah, you might feel like you want to isolate and you don't like, if you are avoiding the wound of Chiron, you might think, oh, I'm just going to focus on myself and my own, like, selfish needs in this lifetime. And that's not really what you're here for. That's not really what it's about. You are here to work with other people, and you have a gift for working with other people and helping them in their relationships as well. So it's sacred, for humanity, the people that have Chiron and Libra, because they're the real heart healers. Now, when we think of Venus as well, they can also be some of the more artistic or like refined people. When you think of the aspect of Libra that is to do with beauty and justice and even artistic abilities as far as like aesthetics go, you could see people with Chiron and Libra having an interest in like beauty and hair and makeup and all of that kind of stuff. Even if they have a resistance to it, it's like that is also a part of owning this archetype, is focusing on these things that perhaps seem, like superficial, but really are healing. Because when you put on the nice outfit or you do your makeup or whatever, you are in a sense giving yourself self-worth, like not, and then there's this can be taken too far too, as that like, they can feel like they need those things as far as self-worth goes, but like there is a very pure aspect of beauty and like adornment that is like truly pure and beautiful and healing, right? And people with Chiron and Libra will perhaps have to find the balance in that as well. So like maybe they'll take it too far where it's like, they're that girl that like can't leave their house without doing their makeup kind of thing, and like that would be like too far, versus like the girl who wears her makeup because it like, makes her feel good and makes her get in that healing, beautiful energy that she's meant to be in. So it's like finding a balance in that. And of course, men will have their own way of doing this as well. And, the element of justice as well. These people can definitely be fighters for what is right, but in that very Libran way, right? Like it's not like they're going to be directly like out there fighting people unless there's like a strong Mars and we've got some like warrior energy. But like you can bet that these people will end up standing up for what they deeply feel is right and just. And that's a part of their mission as well, is like fighting for what's right through tact, diplomacy, and even beauty and grace, being like that graceful energy that rather than screaming at the person who's wrong and, letting them have it like that, it's like they choose to be a living example of what they feel is right in the world, which is going to include that grace and beauty and like forgiveness as well. So it's, really interesting placement, really powerful, really healing people who you really will feel like they see you. They see you better than anyone. And it's because of what I've said that they actually have to work on this. They strongly identify with people so much that they jump out of their own energy to like be with them. And that's not necessary or needed in this lifetime. They're actually meant to separate. They're actually meant to stay in their own energy while seeing the other person. But it's a practice and it's something they're learning. So I'd love to know your experience of this placement if you have it. What has it been like for you? Was it like this? I'd love to know. I'd love to hear about it. And thank you so much for watching, you guys. I'll be back soon.